It was a cold, cloudy morning in Silver Height. The air was damp and the ground was wet from the night's rain. Hannah walked fast on the side of the road, holding a small plastic bag with her breakfast. Her shoes were soaked, and her work clothes were already dirty at the bottom. She was on her way to clean at the local restaurant. But then, splash! A black SUV sped by. A huge wave of dirty water flew up and hit Hannah right in the face and chest. She stood still, shocked. Her bag fell to the ground. Laughter came from the open window of the car. Vanessa, the popular social media star, sat in the back seat. Her makeup was perfect, her glasses shiny, her voice loud. "Oops, maybe clean the road next time too?" She laughed, and the car drove off. Some people nearby laughed too. Others turned away, pretending not to see. But across the street, inside another car, someone was watching. Lucas Kane. Quiet, rich, and powerful. Nobody in the street knew him. He was dressed simply, just another man in a black car. But his eyes were sharp, and his heart felt heavy as he watched Hannah wipe her face with the back of her hand. She didn't cry, she didn't shout. She just picked up her bag and kept walking. Lucas stared at her until she disappeared down the street. In that moment, he knew one thing. This girl's story wasn't over. It had just begun. Lucas Kane was not from Silver Height. He lived in the rich part of the city. He owned big businesses, hotels, and even a private island. People saw him in magazines, not in dirty neighborhoods. But today, he was there. Alone. No guards. No fancy clothes. Just him, in a simple shirt and cap. And he had just seen something that he couldn't forget. The way Hannah stood after being splashed. How she didn't fight back or cry. How she kept walking, proud and quiet. That image stayed in Lucas's mind. He turned to his driver and assistant. "Who is that girl?" he asked. His assistant looked confused. "Which girl, sir?" "The one who got splashed. Find out who she is, where she works. I want to know everything." Lucas didn't know why he cared so much. He had seen people suffer before, but something about Hannah's calmness touched him. She didn't have power or money, but she had strength. Real strength. He opened the Notes app on his phone and typed, "Help starts with seeing." Meanwhile, Hannah was at the restaurant, scrubbing the floor with her bare hands. Her clothes were still wet. Her fingers hurt, but she said nothing. She didn't know that someone was now watching her life closely. She didn't know that someone rich, kind, and powerful had seen her, and her life was about to change. The next morning, Lucas's assistant came with a folder in hand. "Her name is Hannah," he said, 23 years old, lives in a small one-room apartment behind Silver Street, works as a cleaner at Mama Tayo's kitchen. Lucas opened the file. Inside were photos of a small house, a copy of her job ID, and notes about her daily routine. She left home early, cleaned all day, and returned home late at night. No friends, no family nearby, no complaints. Lucas stared at her picture for a long time. There was something in her eyes, tired but strong. "She works hard," he said quietly. "Let's start helping her, but quietly. No name, no attention," Lucas added. "She must not know it's me." And with that, a quiet plan began. That evening, Hannah came home tired. Her back ached, and her hands were sore from scrubbing pots all day. She dropped her bag by the door and sat on the floor to rest. Then she saw it. A small brown envelope under the door. She opened it slowly. Inside was money, 20,000. No note, no name. Her eyes widened. She looked around confused. Who? But there was no one outside, just silence. Tears filled her eyes. This money could pay rent, buy food, even help fix her broken phone. "Thank you. Whoever you are," she whispered. Far away, Lucas looked at the security footage from a hidden camera his assistant had placed nearby. He saw her smile, and for the first time in a long while, he smiled too. The next morning, Hannah woke up feeling different. She didn't have to worry about skipping breakfast. She bought herself bread and tea, and even helped an old woman carry her bag down the road. At work, she cleaned with more energy. She even hummed a little song as she scrubbed the floor. Mama Tayo noticed. "You are shining today, Hannah. What's popping?" Hannah just smiled. "Nothing, Ma. Just thankful." That same day, Lucas sent someone to secretly upgrade the restaurant's cleaning tools. New mops, gloves, soap, and even a better uniform. one in Hannah's size. When she saw them, she was shocked. "Who brought these?" "Anonymous donor," Mama Tayo said. "Said it's for the staff, but I know it's really for you." Hannah's eyes filled again. She looked up, whispering, "Thank you." But not everyone was happy for her. Two other cleaners, Bose and Kemi, began to whisper behind her back. "She's now feeling too big," Bose said. "Money just ain't enter her life like magic. Maybe she has a sugar daddy?" Kemi laughed. "That's true. She's too quiet. Maybe she's using charm." Hannah heard the whispers. It hurt, but she kept quiet. She had no proof to defend herself. She just kept working. Lucas saw the reports from his assistant and frowned. "These girls are jealous," he said. "Protect her, but don't expose me." That night, Hannah received another envelope. This one had a short note. "You are not alone. Keep going." Hannah had always dreamed of going back to school. She had stopped after secondary school when her parents died and money ran out. But the dream never died. One day, she saw a poster for evening classes at Silver Lake College. She touched it, then walked away. There was no money. But when she got home that night, there was something new inside the envelope waiting for her. It wasn't just money this time. It was a completed form for Silver Lake College, her name already printed on it. Her hands shook. She looked around, scared and amazed. "Who are you?" she whispered to the air. "And why are you helping me?" She would never know the answer, not yet. At college, Hannah was shy at first. The other students were younger, dressed better, and talked freely. She felt out of place, but she worked hard. She listened more than she spoke. Her answers were always right, her handwriting neat, her eyes focused. One day, a classmate named Yinka offered her a pen when hers broke. "You're always serious," he said. "I like that." She smiled shyly. "Thank you." Lucas continued to watch from afar. Every time she faced a problem, he was already 2 steps ahead. Books bought, school fees paid, bus fare handled. All without Hannah ever knowing who was behind it. He was not just helping her grow, he was falling for her. Vanessa, the influencer who splashed Hannah, returned to Silver Height weeks later to shoot a video about helping the poor. With cameras and lights, she handed out gifts on the same street. She didn't recognize Hannah at first, now cleaner, brighter, and more confident. But Hannah recognized her. Vanessa smiled for the camera. "Helping people is my passion." Hannah stood quietly at the edge of the crowd, watching. She said nothing. She didn't need revenge. Her life was already proof of growth. Lucas watched the video online and shook his head. "She mocks kindness," he said. He didn't like fake people. He liked Hannah. Not every day was good. One evening, as Hannah left school, she was robbed. A group of boys cornered her, snatched her bag, and pushed her down. She hit her head and passed out. People ran, but no one helped. Until one man did. A tall stranger stepped out of a parked car and rushed to her side. He called for help and stayed with her until she woke up in the clinic. When her eyes opened, she saw his face for the first time. Kind, strong, familiar. "Are you okay?" he asked softly. She nodded slowly. "Yes, thank you." He smiled gently. "Rest, you're safe now." She didn't know it yet, but that man was Lucas, and for the first time, he had stepped out from the shadows. Hannah sat in the small clinic bed, her head wrapped in white bandage. Her hands trembled as she held a cup of warm water. The man who brought her in sat by the door, watching her with gentle eyes. "You saved me," she said quietly. He nodded. "I couldn't just drive past." "What's your name?" she asked. He paused for a moment, then smiled. "Daniel." It was a lie, but a soft one. Lucas didn't want her to know who he really was, not yet. "Thank you, Daniel," she whispered. He stood up slowly. "I'll check on you tomorrow." As he walked out, Hannah looked at the door long after he left, her heart full of questions. The next morning, Lucas, now Daniel, returned with breakfast and some clothes. "I wasn't sure what size, but I guessed," he said with a small laugh. Hannah smiled. She wasn't used to kindness from strangers, especially not men. As days passed, Daniel came often. He brought food, helped pay her medical bills, and even walked her home once she left the clinic. They talked. About school, about life, about dreams. But he never asked for anything in return. Hannah felt safe around him, like she could breathe. What she didn't know was that Daniel had been part of her life far longer than she thought. He just stayed in the shadows, until now. Word started spreading in the neighborhood. "Hannah's acting rich these days," people whispered. "First money, now a rich boyfriend? She's sleeping with someone powerful," Bose said one night. "That's why things are changing for her." The words reached Hannah. They cut deep, but she said nothing. When Daniel came to see her that evening, she looked down. "They're talking about me," she said. "I know," he replied, "but don't let their words stop your journey." She looked at him with teary eyes. "Why are you so kind to me?" Daniel paused. "Because I see you, Hannah. I truly see you." 1 week later, Hannah was surprised when Mama Tayo called her into the back office. "There's a man who spoke to me about you," she said. "He's starting a new cleaning company. Wants you to manage a team." "Me?" Hannah blinked. "Yes, you. He said you work hard and he trusts you." Tears filled Hannah's eyes. "I don't know how to manage anyone." Mama Tayo smiled. "But you'll learn." Later that day, Daniel met her near the college gates. "You believe in me too much," she told him. "No," he replied softly. "I just believe in the real you." Hannah walked into the small office space that would be hers. It wasn't fancy, but it had a desk, a nameplate, and a team of 4 cleaners waiting to be trained. She took a deep breath. "I can do this," she whispered to herself. Her hands touched the table gently, her mind racing with excitement and fear. Daniel had been there too, standing near the window with a proud smile. "You're not the girl in the mud anymore," he said. She turned to him. "I'll never forget where I started." "Good," he replied, "because your past is your power." One evening, Daniel invited her to dinner. Not at a fancy restaurant, but a quiet, cozy place with local food and soft music. "You deserve a break," he told her. Hannah came in a borrowed dress. Her hair was neatly packed, and she looked more confident than ever. They talked and laughed, and for the first time, she saw a side of Daniel she hadn't seen before. Charming, honest, thoughtful. After dinner, he walked her home. As they stood at her door, she asked, "Why are you still helping me?" His answer was simple: "Because I care." One night, Hannah couldn't sleep. Her mind kept spinning with questions. How did Daniel always know what she needed? Why did the gifts start before she met him? She remembered the envelope, the school form, the job offer. It didn't add up. So the next day, she asked him carefully, "Daniel, have you known me longer than I think?" He paused. His smile faded a little. "Yes," he finally said. "I've been around since the day the mud hit you." Hannah's eyes widened. "You saw?" He nodded. "And I couldn't walk away." The next day, Hannah went online and typed the name Lucas Kane. Her heart nearly stopped. The man on the screen was Daniel. She stared at his photo, her mouth open. Billionaire, tech tycoon, founder of Kane Group. She remembered his face, his voice, his eyes. It was him. Tears rolled down her cheeks, not of anger, but of shock. Why would someone like him help someone like me? When Daniel came to see her that evening, she opened the door with the photo on her phone. "You lied to me," she whispered. He looked at her, eyes soft. "Only because I wanted you to grow, without fear." After that night, Hannah kept her distance. She still respected him. She still cared, but she felt small again. He had money, power, a whole world she didn't belong to. She avoided his calls, focused on her job, spent her nights studying. Daniel, Lucas, gave her space, but he watched from afar, hoping she'd understand. He didn't love her because she was poor. He loved her because she was strong. Not once did he try to buy her love. He just waited. One rainy evening, Hannah sat alone in her room, crying silently. She missed him. She missed the calm in his voice, the safety in his presence. But she was scared that she would lose herself if she stepped into his world. Then her phone buzzed, a message. "The world may not understand you, but I do." It was from Lucas. She held the phone to her chest, heart racing. In that moment, she realized something. It wasn't just help he had given her. It was love. The next morning, Hannah stood outside her room with her umbrella. The sky was still cloudy, just like her heart. She walked slowly, not to school, not to work, but to see him, Lucas, She found him sitting quietly at a small cafe, looking at his phone, deep in thought. When he saw her, he stood up. "I didn't think you'd come," he said softly. "I needed time," Hannah replied. He nodded. "I understand." She sat down across from him. "You changed my life, Lucas. But you didn't ask for anything. Why?" He looked into her eyes. "Because helping you helped me too." They sat in silence for a moment. Then Lucas spoke gently. "Hannah, I didn't just care for you, I fell for you." Hannah looked at him surprised. "I tried to stay in the shadows. I didn't want to pressure you, but every time you smiled, every time you didn't give up, I saw something beautiful." Hannah's heart beat faster. She looked down. "I don't know how to love someone like you," she said. Lucas smiled. "Then let's learn together." She looked up at him, tears in her eyes. "Okay," she whispered. From that day, their friendship turned into something deeper. They didn't rush. They met on weekends, talked about dreams, and walked through parks like ordinary people. Hannah still went to work, still studied, still stayed grounded. Lucas never changed her world for her. He just walked beside her as she built it herself. Some people gossiped, but Hannah had grown stronger. She didn't hide anymore. She held her head high, because she wasn't just the cleaner anymore. She was becoming a woman of value. But not everyone was happy about their closeness. Vanessa, the influencer, saw a photo of Lucas and Hannah walking together at a charity event. She was shocked and angry. "She's just a cleaner," Vanessa said to her manager. "He belongs with people like me." That night, she posted an online story mocking girls who rise by luck. Hannah saw it. She didn't reply, but Lucas did. He posted a message on his page. "Humility is not weakness, it's power in silence." The post went viral. People supported him and her. One day, a small online news site reached out to Hannah. "We'd love to interview you," the reporter said. "Your story is inspiring." Hannah was nervous. "What do I even say?" Lucas told her, "Just tell the truth, nothing more." At the interview, Hannah wore a simple dress. She spoke slowly, from the heart. "I didn't climb with shortcuts. I worked hard. I prayed. And yes, someone believed in me, but I did the work." The video got thousands of views. People began to respect her, not just for who she was, but for how she grew. With her first big savings, Hannah returned to Silver Street. She found a little girl washing dishes outside a small food shop, just like she used to. Hannah bent down and gave her a new backpack filled with books, shoes, and a clean uniform. The girl smiled, shy and bright. "You're special," Hannah told her. "Don't forget that." She had learned something important. The best way to thank those who helped you is to help others too. Even with all the love, Hannah sometimes wondered if she truly belonged in Lucas's world. She sat with him one night on his balcony, looking at the stars. "Sometimes I feel like I don't fit," she said softly. Lucas looked at her. "Do you know what I see?" She shook her head. "I see strength. I see grace. I see someone who didn't let the mud define her." He held her hand. "You fit, not because you changed who you are, but because you stayed true." She smiled. For the first time, she believed it. Lucas didn't get down on one knee with cameras flashing, no rings and fancy boxes. Instead, one quiet night, he held her hand and said, "I don't want to just date you, Hannah. I want to build a life with you." Her eyes widened. "Not now," he added, "not fast, but when you're ready, I'll be here." Hannah's heart swelled. She nodded. One day, yes. Because love like this didn't need pressure. It just needed time. Months later, it rained again in Silver Heights. Hannah walked past the same spot where she was once splashed. A car passed by fast, hitting the puddle. She jumped back, but the splash missed. She looked around. No Vanessa, no laughter, no shame. Just her, standing tall. She smiled, because that muddy moment had led her to everything. Growth, peace, and love. She was no longer afraid of the mud. She had risen above it. On her graduation day, Hannah wore a navy blue gown. Her name was called. People clapped. Lucas stood proudly in the crowd, his hands together, his heart full. She stepped forward, took her certificate, and raised it high. From cleaner to graduate, from shadows to light. Someone in the crowd shouted, "Hannah the Hope!" and the name stayed, because that's what she had become, a symbol of hope. After graduation, Lucas took Hannah for a drive. They stopped in front of a beautiful, small white house with flowers outside. "Whose house is this?" Hannah asked. Lucas handed her a key. "It's yours, a gift, a safe place to call home." Hannah covered her mouth, eyes wide with tears. "Lucas, I can't." "Yes, you can," he smiled. "You've given so much heart to others. Let someone give to you." She hugged him tightly, crying softly. It wasn't just a house, it was proof that her life had truly changed. Not long after, Vanessa showed up again, this time with a fake apology. "Hannah, I just want to say sorry," she said in front of cameras. But Hannah could see through her smile. "You're not sorry," Hannah replied calmly. "You just want attention." Vanessa laughed nervously. "Come on, don't act holy." "I'm not holy," Hannah said. "I'm healed." Then she turned and walked away, leaving Vanessa speechless. It was the final test, and Hannah passed with dignity and peace. Hannah went back to the restaurant where it all began. Mama Tayo saw her and hugged her tight. "My daughter," she said proudly, "you turned pain into purpose." Hannah smiled. "You believed in me first." They sat down and talked for hours. That night, Mama Tayo looked at her and said, "Never forget where you came from, and never stop lifting others." Hannah nodded. "I promise." With Lucas's support and her own savings, Hannah launched Hannah Hope Foundation, a group that trained and supported young cleaners, house helps, and girls from poor backgrounds. She opened her first center in Silver Height. People came from far and near to join. Hannah didn't just teach them to clean, she taught them to dream. "Your story doesn't end where you started," she always said. "It begins when you believe you matter." 2 years later, Lucas asked again. This time, Hannah said yes. Their wedding wasn't loud or fancy, just close friends, family, and joy in the air. Mama Tayo led the prayers. The children from the foundation danced and sang. Hannah wore a simple white dress and walked barefoot on soft grass. Lucas waited with tears in his eyes. When they said, "I do," the sky felt brighter, because this love was real. On her wedding night, Lucas gave Hannah a letter. "I wrote this the day I saw you in the mud," it said. "To the girl who stood up with her head high after being laughed at, you are the strongest woman I have ever seen, and one day I'll be lucky to stand beside you." She held the letter close, tears falling. Now that day had come. One morning, Lucas collapsed at work. He had been working too hard, not resting. Hannah rushed to the hospital and stayed by his side. For 3 days, she didn't leave his room. When he finally opened his eyes, she smiled through her tears. "I thought I was strong," he whispered. "You are," she said, holding his hand. "But even strong people need care." They laughed softly. Love wasn't always about big moments. Sometimes it was just staying when things got hard. Months later, Hannah gave birth to a baby girl. They named her Hope. As she held the tiny child in her arms, Hannah whispered, "You are everything I ever dreamed of." Lucas stood beside her, full of joy. "We'll give her a better world," he said. And they did. Because love, when planted in the mud, had grown into something beautiful. Hannah's story was written in magazines, told in documentaries, and shared across the world. But she never let it change her. She still visited the cleaning centers, still walked with her head high and heart open. And every time someone asked, "How did you make it?" she replied, "I was just a girl who didn't stop believing, even when the world threw mud at me." Years later, Hannah returned to the spot where her journey began. The road had changed, new buildings, new lights, but she still remembered the mud, the laughter, the pain, and the stranger who didn't drive away. She stood there in silence, holding her daughter's hand, then whispered, "This is where I was broken, and this is where I began to rise." Her daughter looked up at her. "Mummy," she said, "I want to be strong like you." Hannah smiled. "You already are." From a humble cleaner to a woman of grace and strength, Hannah's story reminds us that kindness, no matter how quiet, has the power to change lives. If you were moved by her journey, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Magical African Tales, where every story is a spark of hope and wonders.